Hello there, my name is Elaine Mc Barron, and I'm here for the next 20 minutes or so to present with you Career Resilience 5 Things You Should Know. I am delighted to be asked by Waterford Libraries to present on this topic, which I think is a very important topic for us all, resilience and more specifically, career resilience. The wonderful thing to know about resilience is that it's something we can all learn and develop. We can learn to stretch and develop that resilience muscle. It is really important, I think, in this world of where we can only predict unpredictability to work on these skills in relation to resilience. Interesting research has been done on this topic, and there's a TED talk related to this topic by Dr. Lucy Hone. And she has discovered that there's 3 characteristics or 3 secrets of resilient people. And some of them are surprising. The first one is that resilient people understand that suffering is part of life. They don't enjoy that suffering is part of life, but there's an acceptance that it is part of life. And I think that's a really strong starting point and an ability to accept that. The second thing she found when she did her research was that resilient people direct their attention to the positive. So they have the discipline of focusing their attention in the areas of positivity. And third of all, resilient people will ask themselves on a regular basis if their thoughts or actions are helping them. So it seems to me like resilient people parent themselves well. They ask those questions, well, are my thoughts, are my actions actually serving me, or are they potentially hurting me? So we're going to look at this whole area of resilience. And let's, I suppose, first ask ourselves the question, what is resilience? Generally, resilience is this ability to bounce back. It's this ability to adapt when misfortune or change has entered into our lives. That ability to respond to those challenges that come up. So I think it's something we all have to develop in ourselves, for our lives, and also for our careers. So let me set up some context in terms of work trends. So you'll see here there are a number, and there always are a number of pressures or trends that are affecting the work or the jobs market. There's a couple of examples here that I'll just allude to and direct you to. Very first one, I suppose, is that Brexit effect. So there are some sectors that are actually growing and increasing because of what's happening in Brexit, whereas there's others where they're contracting and they're struggling because of the situation with Brexit. There is a lot more artificial intelligence working behind the scenes in our jobs, which have reduced the more menial, more admin scheduling tasks that we would have used before. We would have used people before to cover those sort of tasks. So that puts a pressure on us all to upskill. The other thing to say is that there's this growing area around what they call freelance work or the gig economy or a portfolio career, where you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You move from project to project. And there does seem to be, especially with younger generations, a desire to work in that sort of space. Finally, I would just draw to your attention the increased skills. They are in the areas of communication, collaboration, the ability to maintain relationships, the ability to deal with conflict, the ability to work with diverse teams. So, all of those require us to keep on developing those skills, those soft skills that are often referred to as soft skills. So, with this knowledge of what the work trends are like, then we can start to adapt our work search if we're looking actively looking for work, but also adapt how we commit to our continuous professional development. There is a greater focus on upskilling and education. It is expected now that you will work through upskilling and developing your skills as you work through our careers. So I think it's something we all have to work on, is developing a commitment around that. So I think career resilience, what that is telling us is that it's an ability to adjust to career change and to navigate the ups and downs and twists and turns on your career path, on our own career, all our career paths. So, career change and careers are never a straight line. Depending on the age and stage you're at in your life, it will determine what opportunities you might be available to go after, or maybe what you have to be a little bit patient and hold off on before you're ready for them. So career resilience is something that we all can use some time and effort to work on. So it's not a kind of nice to have anymore. It really is a must have skill in relation to our long career marathons that we all are involved in one degree or another. So, what I have offered for you here is 5 tips, 5 themes, 5 suggestions in relation to how you might think about expanding your mind in relation to career resilience for those looking and for those that are still exploring this kind of area. So, let's look at each one in turn. So, what does your attention mean? Well, we know from brain scanning, we know from the work of neuropsychologists, we know that whatever we put our focus in, our time and our focus in, it will grow. So, we've learned that from resilient people, they will put their attention and their focus into what they can control and to what is positive. So it's really important, especially when we're working in such uncertain times, to put your focus on what you can control. So you may not be able to control whether you get that job that you've applied for, but what you can control is that you work on a really strong CV, that you've identified the skills gaps that you may have in your CV, and you go some way towards minimizing that gap. You can always research jobs, research organizations, so that you have a really good idea of what the company or organization are looking for, and try in every way to match up or to work towards giving them what they are looking for in terms of candidates. The other things that you can do is that you can make sure that you surround yourself with a network as well, and focusing on that. And we'll talk about that shortly. So, careers are a marathon. And in a marathon, you do need some places, some milestones, somewhere to put your attention so that you can kind of see your progress. So, within your planning and your scheduling around careers, I would suggest you putting in some milestones. And when you reach those milestones, really rewarding yourself with some positive reinforcement. It goes a long way in terms of keeping you going, ensuring the maybe the rough times or the hard times around careers and around looking for careers. So control what you can control and focus your attention in that direction. The next area then is on specifically around support. So we know that it's really important to reach out. Very hard to do that at the moment with COVID, but there's virtual ways we can do it, which will probably have to be as good as we can get at the moment. So reaching out, making connections with people that you have maybe lost touch with in terms of jobs, work that you maybe did with them before, they might have been previous colleagues. Also really important to think about surrounding yourself with can-do people, people that are there with you and are positive and giving you that positivity and that encouragement. The reason why that's really important is by being with people that we find supportive, even if it's as part of a course and you're classmates and you're working together as a class. That's a huge source of support in the times when it's difficult. The reason it's so important is because it releases oxytocin, that feel good factor, that ability to just feel the light inside. And that's really, really important to grow our resilience muscle that we're talking about. The other thing to suggest is possibly thinking about being a mentor or finding a mentor. Think about somebody you might want to reach out to, look for support. You don't have to ask somebody, will you be my mentor? But you could ask somebody to give you some advice. You could do an informational interview so they could ask them about their journey to the job, and start an informal relationship. Develop that relationship, grow that relationship, put a little bit of thought into it. And over time, may find yourself in a mentoring relationship then as well. The next part is around learning. So we now know, really, it's no longer in any doubt that there is a requirement and there is an expectation around lifelong learning. We all need to keep leaning into areas that we are a little bit unsure of. And it's a great way to grow your self-esteem and self-confidence as well. If there's a particular skill area in your job where you're feeling a little bit vulnerable around, a little bit anxious around, that you don't quite know what people are talking about, or you feel you're missing out on something, you know, invest in that for yourself. Give yourself the permission to find out more information about it, to perhaps do a free online course about it, and it'll do wonders for your self-esteem, because you'll know what you know, and you won't have that anxiety around, oh my God, what am I missing? So committing to that lifelong learning, taking yourself seriously, is a really good forward step in what you can control as well. The other thing I'd say is really demonstrate in every way you can your commitment to personal excellence. So if you're looking for a job, that could be that you ask somebody to proofread your CV. When you create a CV, it's very easy to miss a spelling or a punctuation mistake, or the flow might need a little bit of work. And if you could ask someone who that you trust to give you some feedback, that's a really good way to make sure that you're showing yourself off to your best ability. When I'm shortlisting CVs and someone describes themselves as having the attention to detail, and I see a mistake, it always makes me wonder, surely then if you have attention to detail, that your CV would be mistake free. Small little things, but they're really powerful, significant things. The other thing I'd say is taking decisive action. So again, rather than waiting on a manager to put you onto a course, or rather than waiting for the phone to ring or a recruitment agency to get in touch with you, find something that you can commit to yourself, that you have absolute control over. Decisive action is really a great way to increase your self-efficacy, which is that ability to and trust in yourself, that you know you can do something. So it will really help you to move forward and develop your resilience in terms of all the other challenges that might come the way. The interview is going to be a challenge. You know, your performance review will be a challenge, but all of these little steps will help you towards meeting those challenges, because you've done the work in these kind of areas as well. Spoke a little bit about this earlier, your network, your people that you want to surround yourself with, but also it's really important to develop a professional network. People, again, that can give you insights. You can learn from people. You can work with role models. You can see how people do good jobs. You can observe that, witness that, contribute to a network, offer up something, be generous in your network. Really important, lovely skill to show to colleagues or to your network. A couple of ways you could do this as well is you could join the professional body attached to the work that you currently do. So if you are involved in marketing, why not join the Marketing Institute? If you're involved in training, why not join the professional body attached to that? Great way to get yourself into the environment and learn from others in the same area, get supported from others, network, connect with others in that area. Another way to build your network could be by becoming a volunteer in an organization. So Board Match are regularly looking for high quality people, committed people to join their boards. So why not look into Board Match, and perhaps it might be something that you might be interested in doing as well. The main point around this is to think about yourself as a marketing and sales executive. What does that mean? That means that you understand you have something unique to offer. You understand that you have a personal brand. A lot of business speak, I know, but a brand is something that people associate with you. It could be a quality people associate with you. It could be reliability. It could be technical knowledge. It could be your ability to maintain and build relationships. So if you know that of yourself, or if people tell you that about yourself, that's a really key feature of what you can do in terms of identifying that for yourself and articulating it in your CV, in application forms, or possibly on your LinkedIn profile. So rather than relying on others to take charge, you have to think about yourself in that sort of sense. How am I going to get people interested in what I have to offer, which is marketing? And how am I going to get people to sort of take me on, which is the CV, the application form, and the interview process? So really important to think about your network, start growing your network, start committing to your network. The final piece that I want to share with you is the resilience donut. And this was designed by a woman called Lynn Worsley, and she uses it as a way to help children and young people to feel more resilient about their lives, to understand what they can and what their values are and what they have to offer in different sectors of their lives. And you can see the sectors there that are important for maybe when you're working in this area with children. So talking to them about their what they have in terms of money to do, what they have in terms of their friends, what's going on with them in the community, what's school like, and what is the education factor. So the I have is the resources around you. It's your social relationships and how you kind of navigate them, how you make up for maybe a friendship that or an argument that you've got involved in, how you can draw on that support if you need it. The I am is your sense of identity, your sense of esteem, and it's very much connected to your values. What you feel are very important. And then the I can is your ability to achieve goals and carry through with those, carry out those actions to achieve those goals. And they really do relate to a kind of a self assessment of your skills. So the Open University have used this resilience donut and have adapted it, which I want to share with you now in relation to, I suppose, more a career focused way. So this is the sectors, the areas that they have suggested. So we have family and close relationships. So I ask you, what people in your family or close relationships can you draw on, can support you, can help you navigate this marathon that is careers? Also, who what do your family and close relationships say about your values, say about your sense of self, about your sense of identity? And again, what do your family and closer values say about your ability to identify your goals and follow through on your goals? Are there potential what I would say potential actions you could take that you could get your support from in relation to your family or close relations? Are there supports that you could use within that? The next way is to ask yourself those same kind of questions in your work context. So if you're not currently working, you could think about it from previous occupations. Have you previous colleagues that you could stay in touch with? If you're currently studying, is there somebody in your study circle that you could possibly use these questions for? And then we're talking about personal resources. So that again is the resources that you can draw on, whether it is your time, your energy, financial resources that you might have as well, that you can help yourself in this career journey. Then it's the skills, so the things that you can do, the abilities that you have. Really important to assess those and get people that you trust to give you some feedback on those as well. Next area then is your learning and education. So, when was the last time you took on a course? What was the best course you've ever attended? What was the course you learned the most from? Where are areas of learning are you interested in? What areas of learning would you like to attend a course on? What areas of learning have you now identified as a gap for yourself from looking at what employers are requiring of you in the area that you might be interested in? And finally, the community and your career networks. There's the Adult Education Service, which offer great support to people in looking at growing and developing and transitioning their careers. What work are you involved in the community that might be able to help? Again, this is a tricky area because everything has slowed down or stopped because of COVID. But there still might be a connection to the community that you're involved in, whether it's Meals on Wheels, or you still might be on the WhatsApp group for the soccer coaching team, or you still might be involved in linking in with people for walks, socially distant walks in your community. So, thinking about a larger version of yourself might help you to think about all of the things that you have in terms of relationships, that you have in terms of values, what is important and valuable for you, and also what you can do. I can get this done, I can do this. And small steps are they're the way that you progress through a career. So finally, just to say that is the link to the Open University course, and it's called Developing a Career Resilience. So you could search on Google Open University Developing Career Resilience, and it's a number of modules to it. Very useful information if you're interested in pursuing this area in a little bit more detail. And finally, my last little tip is when you do feel overwhelmed or under pressure or anxious, or your mind is a bit fuzzy, you're not feeling your strongest, can I suggest one little simple technique? If you put your hands over your heart and feel the weight of your hands on your heart, that is a very, very powerful action you can take. And why it's so powerful is your heart is connected by a nerve called the vagus nerve up to the base of your skull, the base of your brain, where your fight, flight, and fright um, reaction lives. And by you holding yourself in that area over your heart, you are essentially giving yourself a hug. You are releasing oxytocin. You are releasing, you're calming the nervous system. You're essentially telling yourself you're okay. So I wish you all the best in your careers, all the best in your um, search for work, in your search for your careers. And if there is anything you would like to, any other information that you would like to get in relation to this topic, I suggest contacting Waterford Libraries. And I wish you all the best. Bye bye.